If you're sitting in a job and you can't afford to leave, this one is for you. My guest was there. High travel, lots of time away, high income, and instead of waiting for permission to climb the corporate ladder to then later maybe have the flexibility, he decided to create the income for himself. Fast forward to today, he was able to walk away from his high paying job. He invests across the country and he's able to be home for the stuff that matters the most. If you're listening to this conversation and you make a good salary, but you don't own your own time, then this episode is for you. I want to make sure you listen to the very end. If you're stuck and you're trying to figure out what you can do to get out of your 9 to 5 because you don't want to live this life forever, be sure to stay to the end because there is no gatekeeping here. My guest is going to break everything down. He's going to tell you exactly how he got there, what mistakes he made along the way, and what he would have done differently looking back. All right, let's get into it. Welcome back to Wealth Within Reach. My name is Erica Brown, and I help landlords learn how to scale, build wealth with real estate without driving yourself crazy and spending all your money. So in case you are new here, there are 28,000 people who watch this episode, this podcast every single week, and you have not subscribed. So go ahead right now, take a moment, hit the subscription button so you don't miss one episode. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so my guest today, I am extremely excited to introduce you to him. I don't remember when we met. We met through a mutual friend, Kendra, who happens to introduce me to so many dope people all the time. Marion, he's a dad, he's a husband, he lives in California. So in a really high price market where people usually assume that it's impossible to invest. He was working for a consultant, had a high income, traveled a ton, and then decided to invest in real estate. And he's here today. He owns a good sized portfolio in Virginia. He does all the things from buy and hold, rentals, flipping, wholesaling, private lending, you name it. And he is also a coach within the Owning and Living in Communities. So I get the opportunity to work alongside Marion plus 2 other coaches, and we help our clients every day. So I'm so excited to introduce Marion. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you here. Finally. I love it. Okay, so I was on Threads the other day. Threads is where I like hang out, like it's like homegirl hangout for me. And someone posted something about how millennial dads are killing it. And it's not to say that other generations of dads aren't killing it, but millennial dads are definitely doing the most. Like my husband and a lot of my husband's friends, they are extremely active fathers, right? And so there's actually some research that shows that 57% of fathers say that they want to spend more time with their children. That's like a big change since like, I don't know, like they said 1950s, which is huge, huge, huge. And it reminds me of a conversation that we had in in Scottsdale at one of our retreats. And can you remember, can you recall that conversation? We were talking about just how you've been able to spend more time with your kids. And it gave permission for the other men in the room to be like, I want to do that too. I'm not gonna give away the story. I'll let you give it away. But can you share, remember that conversation that we talked about?
Yeah, so it was around spending time and then being like in spending that time, how like traditional gender roles have kind of gotten bent, if you will. So I stay at home now, at home, because I work from home and I'm able to, do the real estate business from pretty much anywhere I have a laptop or a cell phone. So I'm at home during the day, and my wife is an executive in a real estate holding company. So she has early mornings and sometimes later evenings. So I'm responsible. I have 2 girls, so I'm responsible for getting the girls up. Luckily, one of them is a little bit older, so she can get herself ready. But I have an almost 5-year-old, so I'm responsible for getting her up, getting her dressed, feeding her, and then getting them both to school. And it's interesting because like I was talking to my dad about it, and my dad is older, so like late baby boomer, and just the concept of me staying home and taking up care of the girls, it's just like a foreign concept to him, uh, because like his generation is like go out, make the bacon and bring it home, um,
Yeah.
and it's totally different for me. So and it's very interesting because our oldest, when she was born, we were a lot younger and I was still in my career. So it did require a lot of travel where I was flying out Monday morning and wouldn't get back till late Thursday night. And so it was just her and my wife early on during the week. And now my youngest, she doesn't know like a day without me being home. So got very different like initial younger years. But now I think my oldest daughter really appreciates the fact that I am able to be home with her as well as the youngest.
I love that so much, and I'm sure your older daughter, has some words for your younger daughter, like you need to appreciate this. But that's what I love when you were sharing that at the retreat. There were like a couple guys who were like, I want to pick my daughter up from school too. I want to pick her up and drop her off, and it was so cool because it's almost like you gave them permission to desire to do that too, which was like so dope. And whether you are a dad or a mom or whatever, like we all have those desires. I remember when I first, was in my, career when I was in banking, I was actually one of the only women of my friend group that worked outside the home. And so everybody else was a stay-at-home mom. And I remember I used to feel like so guilty about that, which I don't even know why, because I don't know, I guess it's just my environment, but I used to feel really guilty about that. And I remember I was sharing this with a client. I don't know why I was telling her this at the bank, but I was. And she gave me some of the best advice that was super helpful for me. She said, "You know what? You're doing a good job because you're investing in your career now while the kids are younger. So if you keep on that trajectory, when they get older, you're going to be able to be at a place where you have the freedom to really be there when they need you, when they're in those teenage years, when they're making those big decisions, when, all those things."
Yeah.
And so I've been able to really experience that. And so I just love that, with taking the risk and being able to invest in real estate and all the things we're going to get into, how it creates this space to be able to serve your family, to be able to be around for the things that matter the most. Like, it's just so dope. So I love that. I love that for you. Okay. So we know where you are, and you're going to break down how you got there. And this is cool because people are always talking about, I retired with real estate. I da 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 da, and then people be like, but how? Because it's 2026 and these prices is no joke. Okay. Hold on real quick before we jump back into the episode. Let me ask you a question. You did everything they told you to do. You went to school, you got a degree, you bought the property, you read the books, you read the numbers, you showed up for everyone who needed you. But watch this. You did all of that and it still doesn't feel like it's enough. Do you feel like that? I know somebody out here just felt that in their chest. I already know, okay? Now here's what I need you to understand. The reason it feels this heavy is not because you're not working hard enough. You're doing all the work. The reason it feels this heavy is because you're the first one to do this. And I totally get that. I know what that's like. I'm the first person in my family to build something like this too. You look around and there is no one who looks like you that's doing it. There's no blueprint. There's nobody that you could just pick up the phone when you have a question. I get it. I've lived it myself. You don't need more hustle. You never needed more hustle because you know how to hustle, okay? What you need is proximity. You need to be in the room with the people who are already doing it. I'm Erica Brown, and for 3 years, I've built a room like no other, just for Black and Brown real estate investors just like you. Everyone under one roof, learning real estate, celebrating family, faith, music, all in the same place. We come together, we learn, we plan, and we have fun while doing it. A whole weekend where you get to show up and just be you, surrounded by people who pour into you instead of taking from you. This November, I'm hosting it for the very last time. November 13th through 15th at the Starling Hotel in Midtown, right in the heart of Atlanta. The final Owning It and Living It experience. There will not be another one, y'all. So if you know you need to be in a room like this, or you thought about coming before and let it pass you by, hear me, okay? Hear me, y'all. This is the year. This is the year you stop making excuses, you show up, and you finally do something for yourself. Okay? All you have to do is go to owningitandlivingitexperience.com or tap the link in the show notes and get your ticket before they're all gone. Can't wait to meet you in Atlanta. Now let's get back to the episode. Take me back. We're going to get into the how, the process, but take me back the moment that you first realized that making all this money wasn't worth it and it was costing you. So like what was going on? What happened? What made you realize like, okay, I got to do something different?
I don't even think I had like the I have to do something different moment. I knew very early on that like I wanted to be in real estate. So there's a couple like standout moments for me. Like I don't know if you remember like back, I don't even know when this was, probably early 2000s, like the flipping shows, like you had the brothers up in like Connecticut, and you had like Armando, Marcelago in like Texas somewhere, and like I loved those shows. And so the flipping thing, I was like, I want to do that. And then I had a friend, her dad was in real estate. And I remember he was looking at a project in a couple cities over from where we lived. And he took me with him. And then he had a rental portfolio like in Kentucky or somewhere. Again, we were in Southern California. And so the concept of it being like, oh, this is really attainable. It's not just something on TV. It is like, it's something real. Um, so I knew I wanted to do and be in real estate like in high school. Did not know how. I was like, all right, flipping and like, and then going through college, I studied accounting, so no real emphasis on anything real estate. And then post grad, I started just kind of reading. And it's like pre-podcast, so it was all like books and kind of figuring out that like flipping is cool, but the real wealth is in rental properties, right? Because the net worth increases, you get the recurring cash every month, and so I was like, all right, I need to do that, but still like not knowing how to do it. And so I started off like just wholesaling. I did do a few wholesale deals, did two of them in LA, and they were really great deals. They ended up actually paying a good portion of our wedding. Um, so it was like a good learning experience. I say like a lot of the skills you develop and are required to buy rentals or to flip, you have to use those same skills when finding deals to wholesale. So it was a good way to kind of get started. And then in that, I was kind of starting to work at that same time. And I remember once I figured out the rentals were the way, I did the reverse calculation. Like, all right, if I make, let's say $200 a door net with all the savings for like CapEx and OpEx and all those things, I need 50 units to make $10,000 a month. So I can remember very early on, I had a sticky note with the number 50 on it, and I taped it to my computer and my work laptop. So people would come by my desk like, what does that mean? And like, why do you have this random sticky note? And I would tell them like, oh, I need to get to 50 rental properties. Um, And so I knew even very early on, it wasn't like I enjoyed my job, like consulting, like right out of undergrad. It's exciting. You get to travel. You're, tackling tough challenges for clients. I didn't have a problem with my job. I actually liked my job. I just knew long term, this is what I wanted to do. Um, so I started there. And then the thing with consulting is like, especially with the company I was at, it's a up or out culture. So you're either getting promoted or they're letting you go. And as I climbed, I realized that I got to like being an experienced manager. So there's like senior manager and managing director above me. And I realized then it's like, I don't want to be a managing director, like like demand is so intense, the stress, and like they're traveling on the road with me. A lot of these people are in like their late 40s, early 50s, and I'm leaving my house in California and flying to Minnesota. They're doing the same thing, right? And I knew, like, I started to realize, like, I don't want to do that. Um, so at the same time, I was developing or like building the portfolio, and just over time, I was able to get it to a place where I was like, okay, I know I don't want to do that. I have established this, um, and coincidentally, I took off. I knew I was kind of building towards it, and I took off of work for paternity leave when we were having our youngest daughter, and had everything in place. And then towards the end of paternity leave, I sent him my resignation, like, I'm not coming back.
I
Uh,
love it. Okay, we got to talk about that because so many people go on maternity leave or paternity leave and they do not go back. If whether they want to do that or they actually do, I've heard that so many times. Okay, so many gems in there. You got exposed to real estate. You had some success in wholesaling, and that like planted the seed. I find that people, once they get to actually building wealth in real estate, they've done some other type of risk event, right? They've done something else that planted the seed that made them bite the bug. Whether it is, I've had clients that have done like Turo, where they like rent a car out to other people, they make money there, or they've just done something else where they be like, okay, I took a risk and it worked out, and okay, and then they kind of like compound from there. So I love that so much. Okay, so you're in it, you're working, you're consulting, you're traveling. There is such a temptation to continue to build the bag, right? To continue to climb up. And if for you, you weren't as attracted to, I guess, the climb because, I mean, they're traveling with you, they're busy too. So I'm interested, did you, like, what attracted you to, doing real estate full time, like, and not working for the consulting company? Like, initially, what was the dream? What was the goal? Like, what were you looking towards when you were thinking about transitioning?
as I was transitioning, the the goal or the like thing to chase was just to not be in that situation anymore. So, and again, I didn't dislike my job. I just saw the future in those other like higher ups and did not want that. And then one of the things about paternity leave, you're still getting paid, and then you can feel you get it's like a sample of what it's like to um, be in real estate full time. So I knew like I was always working towards being like full time investor, and I had put a lot of the building blocks in place. But on top of like being kind of feeling ready already, and then experiencing that like time freedom, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm willing to do this. I feel that the portfolio is strong enough and big enough to support this. I'm going for it. So I think it's a mix of like kind of knowing that I didn't want that to be my future. Again, nothing wrong with it. It's just very, very demanding.
What did you want your future to be instead?
Just chill. Like I'm a very like laid I'm a very laid back person. And so in like especially when consulting, you have like a pre-meeting, you have the meeting, you have the debrief meeting for the meeting, and
Hold
it's
on. First of all, corporate people want to meet so much. I'm like, because I've been doing a little like, just whether it's like working with, B2B stuff. And I'm like, why y'all want to meet? Why we can't just make this an email? Can you send me a Slack message? Like,
exactly.
what?
And then when like client services, so it's like my company wants to make sure everything's together when we go talk to the client, and then we have to come back and make sure we action all the items out of it. So I just knew that wasn't. It's a very stressful and like intense environment all the time, and I just knew that I didn't want that. I don't think it like goes with my personality. So I wanted to kind of like be chill and kind of just do what I want. And then I'm very casual as well. So one of the things that like sticks out to me, it's when I was in my consulting career, I would try to find different meetups in different cities sometimes when I was traveling. And I was in New York, and this has had to be like 2011, so very early on. Um, and the guy that was leading the meetup was in like a white t-shirt and some joggers. And he was like, this is it. Like, this is like, I don't have to get dressed up. I can be successful.
Definitely my dress code.
I'm athleisure all the time. So, but seeing that, I was like, yeah, that's like, that fits me. That's my style. And I wanted that, like, between seeing the example with my friend's dad, seeing that person being just like casual, like, this is what I do. It's okay. Um, and then understanding that like the wealth compounding aspect of it as well. I was like, okay, this is where I want to be.
I love that. I love it. Oh my gosh, so many things you said. Like I found that most real estate investors don't really like to work much. Like it's like a thing, you know. A lot of us. I mean, there are people who very much ambitious, and then they, you know, leverage real estate as a part of their like portfolio. I believe diversification is important for everyone, but then there are those of us who, you know, set out to do this to eventually get to a place of like really living off our real estate, and we don't really like to work much. We like to chill. I'm like, girl, go ahead, yeah, get that. Go ahead. Yeah. So I love that so much. So you were working basically away from the house 4 days a week, and you're like, yeah, no, this is not gonna work for me. I love that so much. And then, oh, you said something also that was super, super key that people don't understand. That's such a part of the journey, and I hear this all the time. But your friends that exposed you to what was possible. It is so, so important to get around other people that are doing it too, because sometimes, you know, you can feel like you're on an island, you know, and just seeing that person that didn't even know probably that they were impacted you, and then now here you are. And you're not only helping your family, I'm sure people outside your family and with even within our community. So it just shows you how like you following the calling that God has on your life, surrounding yourself with other people, how it just becomes way more than just being about you, which is so dope. Okay. All right. So now let's get into the strategy. Okay. So I love for you to kind of unpack. You mentioned you needed to come up with $10,000, right? That you had that number, and then you said $10,000, 50 properties. What made you choose $10,000? Because people just throw out numbers a lot, and I hear people say $10,000 a lot. So, what made you come up with that number?
This was very early in my career, but it was like my salary times two. So I just wanted to double my salary. Again, this is like 2011. So it, like my introductory salary was around that. So that is why that number formed. Um, and it's just like a good rule of thumb to have like kind of give yourself that cushion. Like, hey, I could live off this and be comfortable. So that's where that came from.
Okay. Talk to me. Walk me through your strategy and how you got to that. Well, one, did you get to that number to transition? I'm interested to hear that. And then, if you got to that number or whatever number you got to, how did you get there? What are some of the strategic moves that you made in the beginning that helped you to get to a place that you felt comfortable with taking the leap to quit your job?
Got to the number. Um, uh,
Hey,
so there's like
kudos.
a couple things that like kind of led to that. So very early on, I found the BRRRR strategy. So if you're not familiar, anyone listening, it's a strategy where you buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. Um, all of that to say, buy a house, fix it up, rent it out, refinance it, right? So I found that strategy, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then I was listening to a podcast from a popular platform and realized that I could use the money for my 401k to finance this strategy. So that's what I did. I borrowed against my 401k rather than taking a withdrawal. Um, if you take from it, they start taxing you. If you borrow it, you kind of just pay yourself back with interest. Um, and I did this very early on. I was like, if this goes to complete crap, I'm young enough that I can like rebound and like get my retirement back in order. So
Love that.
that's why I was able, like, comfortable taking the risk. But that is what I started doing. Doing the burst strategy using financing from my 401k. Did that, and then so interesting thing. Back then, DSCR loans weren't as popular. I don't think they were a thing at all. And so after like a deal or two, I kind of ran up into the DTI problem because I was refinancing these properties into my personal name. So I wanted to bring on a partner, and I brought on a partner, and we did a deal together. It did not go as planned. So after I exited that partnership, I was like, what, how am I going to do this? All right. I want to scale, but I don't have the funds. Um, and that's when I kind of like stumbled upon like private lending. So the real growth came with working with private lenders to help fund my deals and doing the burst strategy, where I was able to work with private lenders, do these deals, refinance, and return capital and keep going.
That's
And
it.
yeah,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
so that was like the thing that kind of just poured the gas on the growth. And in that time frame, I believe it was like 2007. No, it was longer than that. Probably like 18, 19. I found a good wholesaler in the area, and they brought me some amazing deals. So in like 1 year, my portfolio grew by 12 units. Uh,
Wow.
so
Because so essentially, you were able to figure out the financing, you were able to get the deals, and then just rocket ship from there.
yeah, that year was like the takeoff year.
Okay, real quick, let me put you on game real quick. So, this has been the busiest travel season my short term rentals have ever seen, which I appreciate. But you know what? Sometimes more bookings and more money can mean a lot of mess. But here's why I'm not worried about that right now, because Baselane keeps all of it straight. Baselane is amazing, y'all. It's giving every property its own account so that income lands exactly where it should with nothing getting mixed up. A big income month in the past could have meant a big mess, but now every payout and every expense gets tagged automatically by property so that when tax time comes, I can stay calm. And let me tell you one thing. The real landlords are not waiting until December to start worrying about taxes, okay? They are focusing on it today. And what I love is that Baselane Smart even gives me CPA ready balance sheets and built-in cost segregation reports so that I can see what I own and what I owe and accelerate my deductions without the extra work. I mean, really, I can just pull up my phone and look up any property right now and see exactly how it's performing today. And that clarity is everything when the money is really flowing. Okay, so a high income season should not only build your wealth, but it shouldn't cause you more stress. And Baselane makes sure that I keep more of what I earn. Sign up at baselane.com/Erica Brown, deposit your rental income, and you'll be entered for a chance to win $10,000. The link is in my bio. Okay, this is a question I have because you live in California. So I work with a lot of people in California. So you could have easily been like, dang, I want to invest and look around you, because most people when they start off they want to invest, nearby where they live. But given that you live in Southern California and you had this limited amount of money that you're trying to recycle, how did you end up choosing the market that you choose? Yeah, walk me through that process.
Yeah. So I invest in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. So I went to Hampton University in Hampton. So that's how I became familiar with the area. And then post grad, my first stop was in DC. So went from Virginia, 3 hour drive, DC. And so as I was getting started, like that was the market because when I started, I believed that I was like, I'm gonna do student housing. It's gonna be my way to like give back to like the Hampton community, and that has not happened. But that is why I chose that market, just simply for like the students. I've stayed there because I found that it's a great market because it has multiple industries there. So we have a couple colleges in the area. There are like all 5 branches of the military in the area. There's a couple big hospitals in the area, and they build a lot of the ships for the military in that area. So there's a lot of industry there. So there's a lot of people working. So that's why like I've stayed there and I feel like I've had success there is just because there's so much industry there that supports people having a good income to be renters in the area.
That totally makes sense. Yeah, I love that so much. And now you've been able to create a whole team ecosystem that allows you to, like you said in the beginning, virtually be able to manage your portfolio from across the United States. How, any like what? Well, this you may actually answer some questions with this. So I imagine that that did not come so easy. What do you feel like worked well from building your portfolio across the country? And what do you feel like some things that looking back you would have done differently?
Worked well, I think, was just like having like a system for it. So I think I was like, I've been blessed in like having the good people to help me with things. So very early on, like I had one realtor that was working with me, helped me buy my first 2 properties, and then he moved out of the area and he referred me to someone that was in the area, and she was has been a very valuable. I mean, it has been a very valuable asset to the team. She's connected me with the contractor, so one of the hardest parts of I think renovations locally or remotely is having a good contractor. So I kissed a few frogs before finding the prince, so to speak. So she helped with that. She's helped with like lending partners as far as like DSCR lenders. So having her was very early on to help was very important. And then so when I structured the team, I read a book about long distance real estate investing, and it kind of outlined the pieces of the puzzle that I needed to have, and I was able to find those. And for like, it's not like a you find them one time and it's just goes like you're set. I've had to iterate on that. Yeah. So all right, this is the plumber, and life happens. I got to find a new plumber, but when you've done it, then you kind of know what you're looking for, and people can recommend. So that has been helpful. I think a thing that I would do a little bit differently is be a little more selective on location. It's like the California guy's like, oh, this is so cheap, like let me do it. Um, and I have bought deals that either from flips and rentals that like took a little bit longer to sell because of location, or had a little bit harder time keeping someone in them as a rental based on location. So if I was going to do like anything different, I would be more selective on like.
No, that's good. That's good. It's so interesting. You mentioned the California investor. We were just talking yesterday. We were on a call with our clients talking about flipping in 2026, and we're just talking about the importance of choosing your market. And you suggested, and probably for this reason, the how valuable it is having that local investor friendly agent that can really give you the lowdown that it may be difficult to see just looking at the listing, or looking at ChatGPT, looking at the data, like, oh, this school district is preferred over this school district, or this area don't even care about school district, this one does, and all the things that you can't necessarily see from across the country. So that's huge. That's huge. How often do you visit your portfolio?
I try to get like 2 to 3 times a year. So I was doing pretty regularly. COVID like threw me off for a couple years, but I'm getting back to visiting at least 2 to 3 times a year. And again, like one of the things is like I have boots on the ground, so I have someone that helps me go by and take a look at this or take a look at that. But I've found that there's no substitute for like me. Um, I have a different eye. It's my asset. So there's nothing that like beats my actual presence. Um, so that is one of the things like I'm reprioritizing coming. Well, COVID doesn't seem that long ago, but it's just reestablishing things does take time. So that is something getting there at least like 2 to 3 times a year.
No, that's good. I think you also mentioned something that's really good. That, I mean, I know you self-manage, I self-manage. I tried to hire a property manager twice, did not work, because of the very reason that you said. Like, especially when you have one or two properties and it's not that big of a deal, sure, you could probably find a property manager to, you still need to keep up with what's going on. But when you have a whole portfolio, like you said, no one is going to manage things and look out for things like you would. And so it's really important that you still, whether you self-manage or property manager, that you manage the manager. Because at the end of the day, it is your property. Okay, you own it. Okay, you said something. I want to continue to like break down the journey. So you set a goal to meet, get to a place of 10,000 cash flow per month. You got there. How long did it take you to get there? We know, and also we know that you were able to just like go like so much faster after doing some education, then getting connected with a private lender, and then wholesaler. So just all those, I just hear relationships, all of that. Yeah. How long did it take? And then you mentioned something that's really key about private lending, because it's not something that we hear in our community a lot. I think that we can assume that we don't have wealth, and it's not true. So I love for you to also talk about that. So talk about, because I probably done asked you three questions now. You got the questions?
Yeah, so
You want me to repeat them?
time frame from start to retirement, so to speak, and then just kind of like relationships and building on those around private lending. So
Yep.
I have very specific dates. So I closed on my first property on January 31st, 2017, and I resigned April 8th, 2022. So
Oh, it's 5 years?
yeah, no, yeah, just over five.
That's dope.
And then my first year, like I bought one property. It was like that one. So
Wow.
it's really like supercharged. Like I said supercharged that year I had when I found a lot of great deals. Helped a lot. So it was like really five technically, but really like four. And then in that, like in finding like private lending, I think again when I was before I even had a deal any deals done, I was talking about real estate. I remember very vividly, like telling one of my friends, like, I'm gonna be rich from real estate. And this is like at a gathering, we're young, having fun, having drinks, and she's like, okay, Marion. Um, so it was always like the thing. And then my first private lender, I'll never forget, like I always say, like, she believed in like the vision that I had. I feel like stronger than I did, right? Like it's my first private lending deal.
Wow.
She's like, "You're gonna be a mogul." I still don't think I'm a mogul, but like just like hearing that, like she spoke life into what I was even doing more than I knew that like I needed. Um, So very early on, and then um, like I'm so grateful for her. But the relationships that have been very fruitful, like that person is someone I went to undergrad with. So my very first
Mhm.
private lender was someone that I went to undergrad with. Um, and a lot of my early, even now, a lot of my private lenders are people I went to undergrad with, friends. I've even had people that like I knew in high school. We were like cool, but it wasn't like we had a tight relationship. Reach out and be some of my largest investors, just based off of like relationships and kind of seeing what I've been doing on like social, which is interesting because I'm not like a big poster.
But people are
So
always watching. They're always watching.
yeah, I that is definitely a thing. Like people do realize like what you're doing, even if they're not saying anything. So I think the relationships with people that have been close to me, rather like really good relationships, like that first person was someone that like I hung out with and again spoke life into me before I knew I needed it. And then people that have been just like familiar with me but understand and see what I'm doing have also signed up to be private investors as well. And that is another way, like the benefit for them as private investors is like they're able to, I'm saying, diversify, if you will, and be in real estate without being in real estate. So uh, it's like a big change for me when I started working with them was having the mindset shift of these people aren't doing me a favor. We're like co-collaborating. They're
Yes. Yes.
we're doing this
Yes.
together. Like they are helping me fund this, and I am giving them a form of passive income. So having that mindset shift helped a lot in just being confident in the approach of, talking to people about private lending opportunities because you realize that like it is a benefit to them as well.
That's so good. That's so key because I hear people who within our community who, we're helping, they've done like a few deals, they're really good, they have learned how to really, really, they really understood the business and they've learned and they're doing a good job and they're ready to scale. And we start talking about private lending, and they're like, well, I don't want to ask anybody for money. And it's like, you are not asking people for money. The people and I'm sure the same for you, but the people that we've talked to about private lending, they are so grateful. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Because you know why? The stock market is so volatile. It is so, so volatile. And although, real estate has its ups and downs, it for typically real estate is not gonna go down 20% in a day. Like that happened like one time ever. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even a day. Like we kind of knew what was happening. But like real estate is not like that. And so, like you mentioned, there's so many people. There are even people in our community where they join to learn and to be educated, and they learn like, haha, the way my life is set up, I can't do real estate in this way. So then lending is a great opportunity. So I love so much you said that. You said something that was so, so key. On one of my trainings, when I'm teaching people how to find a good deal, one of the fundamentals of finding a good deal is sharing what you do, bringing people along the journey. It's not bragging, right? It's just being like, man, I am excited. I am doing this. I have a desire because we once didn't know about this, especially our community, black and brown people. We didn't know. We a lot of us didn't grow up having investment properties and stuff like that. So a lot of us is just it's we are exposed to these things so that we can go back and share someone else with someone else, and you just never know who's watching, whether it is bringing an opportunity. I've had people literally call me up and I've been able to buy properties, just from just sharing my story. And also people like, hey, if you ever want to partner, if you want to do, you just never know what will come from that. So I love that so much. And I also really like how you shared that because again, some people that are trying to make that mindset shift, around I'm not asking for money, I'm presenting an opportunity, I can see how people can also hesitate because because they do know them. There's a lot of people who are like, I'll never do business with family. And so because they know them, they kind of are leery about it. But I love that you've worked with close people and people who aren't as familiar with you. But at the end of the day, are you trying to make some money? Do you want to make some money? I'm the boots on the ground. I'm the expert. You want to make some money? Let's work this out. So I love that so much. Okay, so just have two more questions. Okay, this one's for you, and I need you to really hear me. Maybe you've done a deal, or maybe you've done two deals at this point, and you know what it feels like to own something that's supposed to pay you every month. But if you're honest with yourself, you're kind of stuck, okay? You started investing in real estate, but you're really not making the kind of money you thought you'll be making. The number that's actually in your bank account is really not matching what you thought it was going to be from that spreadsheet. At this point, you are constantly second guessing if you did it right. And if I can be honest, real estate has gotten really hard the last couple years, and you're at the point where you're wondering if you should even keep going. I would describe where you're at called the messy middle, and that's where most people actually quit. But here's where I'm excited. I've listened to you all year. I've heard exactly what you need. I've heard what challenges you're facing. And that's why I'm creating something new, especially for you. It's called the Real Estate Investor Circle. It's a room of investors who are past the beginner stage, but who are also really serious about scaling in real estate together. We are not explaining the basics. We're getting into the nitty gritty of what it's going to take for you to really scale. Just myself, you, my coaches, and a room full of other people who are ready to take it to the next level so you can stop second guessing and start moving towards the goals that you actually want to be at. Okay, here's the part I want to make sure you don't miss. I am only opening up 25 founding member spots. That's it. You join early, you lock in at the founding rate and be able to help shape what this becomes. So the doors are not open just yet, but the wait list is. Doors are opening August 14th for the people who are on the wait list. So if you know you're ready for what's next, I want you to get on the list so you can make sure that you know the first moment it opens. All right, so to join the Real Estate Investor Circle, you can just go to the link below or visit owningitandlivingit.com/investor circle. Okay, remember, only 25 seats will be available August 14th. This is where the messy middle ends. Join us. All right, let's get back to the episode. The fact that you were able to get to $10,000 in cash flow in 5 years is totally amazing. That's so dope. I imagine you had to put your head down and really, make it happen, because at the time you still traveling 4 days a week, you still away from your family. So that's already a sacrifice in itself. So to know what it takes to get to that portfolio across the country, like, shout out to you for even getting there. Okay. But I know the process wasn't easy. I know that the journey, you had ups and downs, and I imagine there were times that you probably second guessed yourself. You probably doubted yourself. Should I really be doing this? Especially when things don't go right. When things go wrong, you lose money, all those types of things. In those times where things got really, really hard, how did you keep going? How did you, what mindset shift, talk to yourself, like what helped you to keep going and not give up during those times? Because we have a lot of people right now who are in those times. They are you back then, where they're in it, they're not really seeing much of a return, and expenses have increased, and they're wondering, is this worth it? What made you keep going?
I wouldn't even say this is like a just then thing, right? Like as you scale and you get a bigger portfolio, you get bigger problems. So, and it's like, man, dang, do I feel like good with these big problems? So I don't think it goes away. I think you're just gonna get used to dealing with it. But my biggest thing is like now, and I even early on was like, this is what I wanted, right? Like, this is the life I like prayed for. So that is what keeps me going. And then being able to sit in the line for pickup for my daughter and be like, okay, like, this is what I wanted. This is what it comes with. And I rather this stress than the stress of what I saw happening in corporate America. Uh, Again, like I think there's great opportunity. Again, it's not saying anything's wrong with corporate, but I wanted something different, and I rather this stress than that stress because it's still stressful. There's still stressful situations, even now being in it full time. There's processes that I have in place to help with stuff, but there's still demands. I
Oh
think
yeah, it still goes down. We be in the coaches chat, be like, okay, I'm venting today. It still goes down for sure.
And then I think, like what you mentioned with the coaches chat, is like having other people to talk to about what's going on. So knowing that, like, I still want to do this, but like, I just need to get this off my chest. That's also very helpful. And the last thing I would say, especially someone like newer starting to experience this, is that it slows down. So I always give the analogy of like playing sports and like a person playing like at a varsity level in high school for the first time, like the game is really fast. And then after you've played 2 or 3 games, the game kind of slows down. Or you'll hear them talking about like this with like quarterbacks, like the game slows down for the quarterback. I think that happens with real estate, right? When you are very early on, things are challenging. Everything's new for the first time. And as you kind of go through those things and kind of get through them, it slows down. Where the stove being out, I can vividly remember like a stove going out and it just sending me into a tizzy. And my wife is like, "It's okay, it's okay." Uh, Now a stove goes out, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna text Travis. He'll be over there. He'll get it situated. I know how to communicate with the tenant to kind of keep them at ease. So I think those are the two things, right? Like knowing that it gets better, but you're always going to have to go through things, and having a support system or people that you can just vent to helps you get through like the tougher moments. But remembering why you started.
That's good. Why it's so important is it brings you back despite the craziness and foolishness, because we're not gonna sit here and tell y'all that it's easy, because it's not. It'd be crazy stuff going down, like real crazy stuff. We have a lot of stories. If you come to the Owning and Living experience, Marion will be there and we will tell you the stories. Okay, uh, so it definitely goes down, but it is really amazing to know that one, you're building something for you. You're not building someone else's life. You're not building someone else's dream. You're building your dream and your family's dream. I was actually, as I was preparing for this podcast, I have like a full house. I'm like preparing for the podcast and studying for that. And then my husband is working on something here, and then my kids. And it's like, man, I get to decide how I make money. Like I get to decide how we're gonna provide for our family, and we are able to build what we want to for our family, and that's just really dope to be able to do that. Yeah, that's really amazing. Okay, so my last question is this. So now, fast forward, you are managing your rentals. You're no longer in the corporate grind. You're wearing your joggers and your white tees in the Cali perfect weather. Now tell me, what is life? What's a normal week for Marion on the other side? And again, we still got things coming up. You're still running a business, but what does a normal week look like for Marion now on this other side of things?
It's very relaxed. I can't tell you the last time I put on like a business casual attire. So my wife jokes that like I have a uniform because it's like the same at leisure. Um, but uh, again, I start my days with getting my girls ready. So again, the oldest is pretty sufficient. Getting the younger daughter together, getting them to school. And then once I get them off, then I come back, sit down, and go through my to-do list. We were actually talking about this the other day. Like, there's always a to-do list. And so self-managing, there's always something to do. So go through the to-do list, whatever that may be. And it usually takes a couple hours. And I think we talked about like mindset shifts and like we don't want to work a lot of times as investors, but you start to realize that like the work doesn't require all day. Like a lot of times you can get what you need to get done in a couple hours. Um, and so I usually get done with what I want to get done between like 9 a.m. and like 1. Um, and so between those hours, knocking out work, then I go exercise. So I like to work out. So work out for an hour or two, and then it's into like pickups. So with the LA traffic, it takes me a while to get to my kids. So that process starts around like 3 p.m. So condense the workday into like a couple hours, and then again, front side is the girls, the back side is the girls, and then sometimes like in the afternoon, once the youngest has gone down, so she usually goes to bed at like 8:30. I'll look at emails again. I will kind of write some notes for things that I need to do the next day. But I try to make a point of like once I pick her up until she goes down to like not be on my phone too much. But when she goes down, kind of looking and doing a little bit of work to prepare for the next day. So I think that's actually a really good thing to highlight. It's like we try not to work a lot, but we're always working, right? Like there's always something happening, and even if it's not like an active activity, we're thinking about something, we're planning something, we're making some notes for something. So we just kind of trade like the corporate environment work for this type of work. Um, and that may not sound attractive to some people. And I think one of the things that oftentimes as a self manager, I tell these stories and I reflect this, but it's because I self manage, right? And so if you want to invest in real estate, you can do the BRRRR strategy. You can work with private lenders. You can build the portfolio. And then a lot of the stuff that I'm writing notes on and preparing for, there's someone doing that on your behalf. So just because I've structured my real estate investing journey this way, it's not the one size that fits all. Like there are different formats that you can take that works, not you, but like anyone can take that works for the life that they desire. This is just how I like it.
Which is the cool part, which you can decide how you want to run your life. And if you want to do it your way for 2 years, 5 years, and then you're like, I want to do something different, then you can. Like, that's the beautiful part about this journey. I've had so many reiterations over the last 10 years of investing, and I'm getting ready to walk into another one. And that's okay. And that's cool. And it still works. And that's the beautiful part about this journey. So I love that so much. And, if you're watching this and you have really, really connected with Marion's story, then I encourage you to join us for the final year of my conference. I host a conference. I've been hosting it for the last 2 years. It is like the Super Bowl for our community, and I'm hosting it one more time this November in Atlanta, and Marion is going to be there. And here's the beautiful thing. If you feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready because I'm not good, that means you need to be here. If you have the desire, the seed, you need to be in rooms and places with other people who are doing it. We're gonna have the answer to help you be able to take your next step. And the Only a Living experience is one of those places where you come and you're loved on, you see so many people that look like you, but then you also leave with your next steps. You don't leave just inspired, you leave with your next step. We're so approachable. Like you're gonna be able to like walk up to Marion and be like, hey, seen you on the podcast. I really connected with your story, and talk to him.
I like to talk, so we
It's
can.
just so cool, right?
The experience of I haven't done the conference before, but I did do the mastermind earlier, and like I enjoy being able to talk to people and share the story and kind of help with ideas. So again, come to the conference, and then if you are there, I'm tall, so I made that look maybe a little approachable, but I promise I'm happy to talk to you and I want to talk to you. So come say hi. Even if you don't really have a question, just come say hi.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Come say hi. Okay, Marion, where can people find you if they want to hear more? I know you have a great Instagram page where you're like sharing stories behind the scenes of what you're doing. Where can people follow you and connect with you from there?
Yep. So my Instagram is Legacy Home Solutions. That is the best place there. Again, I'm pretty responsive, so if you want to connect, you hear something, you have a question, feel free to shoot me a message. And yeah, happy to help and connect.
I love it. I love it. And like I said, Marion is also a coach for the Owning and Living community. So if you end up deciding to want to work with us directly, then you will actually also be able to work with Marion, which is so dope. Like the fact that you get so many people, I think we have between the four of us, we have over 35 years of experience in various strategies. So I love that so much for us. But this has been such a great episode. Thank you so much again for watching. Subscribe, hit the subscription button right now if you made it this far. Send this to a friend, and I will see you at the next one. Bye.